Welcome back to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. This is Lockdown Series Volume 2, Episode 6. But what it is, more importantly, is Kevin Says, the live Q&A every single week. This is your show, remember. Your questions and your content drives everything. And Super Kev is on deck to answer all of your questions. Here we go. It is indeed our live weekly Q&A session with Mr. Super Kevin Campbell, and welcome to the show. Well,
all good. Listen, I've had quite a good day. I've been quite busy today.
What you been up to, Casey?
I've been doing quite a few interviews today. Yeah, about Arsenal and Everton and all this kind of stuff. They like to speak to me about that. Been doing an interview about Spain. Done an interview about my son. So, before you know it, you've got to have something to eat, and I've got to come on with you, darling. So there we go. There you go.
And I promise no Sophie overtime today. We're going to try and keep this one short and sweet tonight. This is Kevin Says. And I love that. By the way, I was listening to TalkSport the other morning, and there I was just having a cup of tea. And it was the Drive Time show with Adrian Durham and the legend that is Darren Gough, Mr. Cricket. And there popped up a soundbite with you, Super Kev, talking about the toffees as well. So that was kind of nice as I was munching away.
It with them. I've never done it with them.
No, they used your clip.
Yeah, they've used the clip.
Your clip from another show. And
that
clearly
bait. That Durham is bait. Gooners, do not take the bait. He tries to wind us up. Did you hear what he said about Tierney?
Oh,
Sophie.
God. That is pure clickbait.
He's bait. He's bait.
Come on.
He's just bait.
Knows it too. Meanwhile, Craig Burley and I were having a conversation on Twitter the other day where we were talking about how he's the best left back in the league right now. And of course, there were a lot of people who chimed in about Robertson and, all that type of stuff. But yeah, Adrian, I love and adore the guy, but he's definitely Mr. Clickbait. There's no doubt about that. More importantly, let's get stuck into this, Casey. You've got two questions, a little bit different, two very different questions. Get ready, everybody, because your questions are what drive the show. I also have a few for you on the YouTube channel, which you're going to enjoy, Casey. So here we go. Are you ready?
Sophie.
Yes, you got that.
Gonna light them up. Let's light them up.
Let's do it. Here we go. This is Kevin Says on the Highbury Squad.
Hi, everybody. This is Kev Says 13. And I have two questions. Two questions, actually, that I'm going to put to you. And I can't wait to hear what your reply is. So let's crack on. Number one is... because I wrote them down there and I want to make sure I get right. Yeah. Everybody's calling for Arteta to be ruthless. And if he is going to be ruthless, you can't start challenging him on Balogun or any other player, Ozil or anybody. So it's either he's going to be ruthless and nobody's safe, or he's not going to be ruthless and it's going to be a sentimental one. Which one do you want? I know which one I want. I want ruthless. I don't care. He's got to build this team in his way, the way he sees fit. And some people are going to be casualties. That's the way it's got to be. Now, if he can get that, great. But what do you think? This is question one. What do you think? Is Arteta going to be ruthless? Should he be ruthless? That means no sentiment. Or is it sentimental to keep certain players? Because I see fans kicking off about, we're going to lose Balogun, we're going to lose this one, we're going to lose that one. Yet they're calling for him to be ruthless. So sort it out. What is it? What do you want your manager to be? That's number one.
KC laying down the gauntlet right there on Mikel Arteta and who you want him to be. And of course, with all the news that has come out today about Balogun, we will get to that. Start flying in your questions. I'll get to those. Here is part 2 of Kevin Says.
And number 2, did Saturday's FA Cup tie show just how much problems we've got in the squad? Because he changed it, and we should have been doing a lot better than that. You know, we had to call for the first team boys back, the proper boys, the youngsters. You had to call for the youngsters to come back and bail him out, obviously with a bit of a Lacazette experience chucked in as well. So that's the 2 questions, guys. Ruthless Arteta, and did Saturday show that this squad are very frail? Did it show the real problems in the squad? Anyway, I look forward to hearing all of your comments. Cheers.
All right, that's your 2 questions for this week's Kevin Says. I really like both, and I know where you're coming from on both, because the Balogun situation right now, Super Kev, from the reports that we've heard today, it seems like we may have lost him to RB Leipzig, and there are going to be a lot of Arsenal fans that are going to be exceptionally disappointed with this. We had a conversation on the show just a few days ago about agent versus player, who has the power, who's really making the decisions here. And of course, if there's no path for him currently in the team, a talent like him is going to go. My point to you on that show was we don't want to be in another surge situation. And here we find ourselves, you know, potentially in one of those. So here we go. We'll start with one of our favorite guys. Arteta needs to be ruthless with himself and admit he made a mistake. Drop Willian, then sell him and stick Balogun on the bench to encourage him. What do you think about that? Let's talk about,
That won't work. That won't work. The narrative that has come out is he wants to play. And you can't guarantee he's going to play. Him being on the bench isn't going to do Balogun any favors. Because, 1, you lose fitness. 2, you don't actually take part in enough games. And 3, which is the most important thing, we always say, how does a young player get experience? The only experience he gets is by playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand where Newman's coming from. Of course I understand. But that's the issue. That's the difficult issue.
So, KC, do you agree here with what Top Techers is saying? But Balogun is only potential at the moment, and you've talked about how we've only seen him in certain games, in certain competitions. He hasn't really truly been out on loan. He hasn't been in the Premier League sides to be super competitive. So, do you agree with what Top Techers is saying, and that maybe here it is a question of sentimentality versus empowering the coach to make the best decisions that we have to trust him with?
Yeah, look, it's always nice for a youngster to come through the ranks. And Balogun has definitely got big potential as a goal scorer, the way he moves, etc. But we don't know if he's going to be able to cut it. We don't know. He's not played in the Premier League. Yeah, he's not started a game in the Premier League. Do we know whether he can cut it or not? We don't know. Now, the fact of the matter is, Arteta is between a rock and a hard place at times, because Tony.
It's all right, Tony. You can leave it. You can.
Don't be interrupting my show.
She's making a tackle like Pablo Mari.
She's getting stuck in. She's getting stuck in. I love it.
Getting stuck in KC stuff.
Look, the fact of the matter is, Sophie, Balogun does have huge potential, but in order to develop and enhance that potential, he plays in a position where there's only one. We've got Lacazette who can play there. We've got Aubameyang who can play there. We've got Martinelli who can play there. And then we've got Nketiah who can play there. And Balogun is the 5th choice. Okay?
I hear you.
Where does Balogun, and there's a question for everybody if they could put it in the chat. Okay, out of those 4 players and Balogun, rate them from number 1 to number 5.
To see where he fits and where
let's
he
see where
ranks.
Balogun comes. Yeah, let's see where Balogun
That's
comes,
fair.
because I know, in my eyes, he doesn't come anywhere further than 4th. But Eddie's played and Eddie scored goals in the Premier League. Balogun hasn't. So there'll be people who say Balogun's ahead of Nketiah. But Balogun's not done it in the Premier League.
But that doesn't mean to say what you're saying, that Balogun can't make it.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm not saying he can't make it, but what I'm saying is there's a pecking order right now.
That's the reality.
So, yes.
Okay, so let's go to, there was a comment Elaine made that I want to get back to. I can't find it right now. Everyone is jumping in. Thank you so much. Keep them coming, everyone, because you've got some great comments here. Let me find this one first. I'll find yours, Elaine, because you did make a really good comment. I'm going to go to Zod right now. Zod Sinclair. Good day, everybody. Sophie, Legend Kev. He did make the legend cut in our show yesterday. You're absolutely right.
Oh, thanks, Zod.
And he says he's glad that Arteta's being ruthless. Kolasinac on New Year's Day was ruthless as F, as we know. Love it. It's what we need. Now, this is where I want him to be ruthless. I don't want him to be necessarily ruthless with the younger players, KC, and eliminate them maybe prematurely. But I do absolutely want him to be ruthless with the Mustafis, the Kolasinacs, even Chambers of the world.
The issue you got, Sophie, is if he's gonna be ruthless, he's got to be also realistic in being ruthless. Because at the end of the day, if Balogun wants to play and he wants to be, say, 3rd choice, then that's going to push Martinelli out, and Balogun is not Martinelli. Let's be honest. So therefore, if he's going to not be happy because he's not there right away. Remember, he's I think they're the same age, aren't they? Balogun and Martinelli, or maybe there's a year in it.
A year, because Balogun's 19. I think Martinelli's going 2020. I'll check 20. I think he's 20, Martinelli, or 21.
Martinelli might be 20, 21, okay? Or whatever. But they're around about the same age. My point is...
No, he's 19. He's going to be 20. Yeah. You hit it right the first time.
Yeah, so my point is, out of the 2, if you had to choose one, who would you choose?
Well...
Because it's going to come down to that, Sophie. It is.
Yeah, for me, it's, and I think for most Arsenal fans, it's going to be Martinelli, proven. Yeah. A player that actually was sought after by Manchester United at some point, the top teams in Spain. Also, Bayern Munich took a look at him. So, yeah, that's going to be the player that we're looking at. Mark says, I'd like Arteta to be ruthless, but don't think he can be as much as Pep or Klopp whilst rebuilding the Arsenal team. This is a fantastic point I wanted to bring up from Mark Casey, because you also have to kind of play devil's advocate as the manager here, because you have to rely on maybe talent you don't trust, but at the same time, you're trying to rebuild. So he can't be as ruthless as he wants, even though he knows he wants to be super ruthless. And we've seen since he took charge last December, we're a year in now, he's been patient.
Well, he hasn't had the opportunity to be as ruthless as he wants. Because don't forget, the people you mentioned there, Pep and Klopp, they've had money, Mark. They've had money to spend, and they've had assets to trade in order to bring the money in to spend. So believe you me, if Mikel Arteta had the war chest, he could be as ruthless as he wants. What he has to do, he has to box clever. Of course he does. But that's not the question. The question is, we need him to be ruthless, or do you want him to be sentimental? And I want him to be ruthless. And, you know, if he has to cut people who we like, or cut youngster who they can get something for, because, look, if Balogun goes abroad, Arsenal get pittance, right? They get pittance for him. But that's just the way it works. That's life. That's the way it goes, unfortunately. And it's tough.
It definitely is tough. KC, there's a really good comment here about ruthlessness from Prash. Is this true? I remember a young Kevin Campbell in 1989 breaking Alan Smith's jaw in training on the day I bought an Alan Smith number 9 shirt. Can you tell us what happened? Did Smudger cry? Was that you being ruthless? Is that true, Casey? Did you break Smudger's jaw, or is this just fake news?
Fake news. I don't know who.
All right.
I don't know who comes up with this stuff.
They've got so much time.
Listen, I never forget, Sophie, me and Alan Smith being in the same proximity on a football pitch when I'm a striker and he's a striker. It's
ruthless.
It's
ruthless in itself.
So no, I'll tell you, don't believe the hype, Prash. Don't believe the hype.
Absolutely ruthless. This is Medical Study Buddy, and this is a good one. If Balogun wants to leave, then so be it. I'm sorry we can't cater to his demands. If he really wishes to be at Arsenal, sign a contract, go on loan. If not, then bye-bye. We have bigger issues. And I think that's where you're at, KC, with sentimentality versus ruthlessness. You can't please everybody at the end of the day. We've got a lot of talent. We saw that even in our retrospective show yesterday when we went through whether you're an Arsenal legend or cult hero. We didn't even have time to fit everybody into an hour and a half show. That's how gifted we've been as a team to have so many talented players. But it is sad when a young talent doesn't feel they have a path, but at the same time, they don't have the patience to explore that path. And I think that's the difference.
Well, you know what, Sophie, and this is the truth now. The fact that if he feels that there's not a path for Arsenal, then he has to leave and he's got to find a path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about him being patient. It's about, look, at the end of the day, if I'm the same age as Martinelli and Martinelli's ahead of me, I look at Martinelli's quality. He's already got double figures last season and he was injured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hasn't even played properly.
You know, he hasn't even really established himself, but yet he's got double figures and he's made a fantastic impression on everybody. And I'm behind him. Wow, I've got my work cut out, haven't I? So I could make as many demands as I like, but Martinelli's already done it, so it's always going to be tough.
All right, cool. Look at this. Keenan Gan, you legend yourself. 3:42 a.m. Super Kev in Singapore.
Lovely play. Lovely
He's
play.
like, I loved your legend cut, and I love the way we're playing now with the youngsters. We should be ruthless and base the starting 11 on performance, not the name they come with. Keenan, number one, thank you so much for tuning in in the early hours of Singapore. Super Kev, great
nice
point
one,
right
Keenan.
here.
Absolutely great, Keenan Gan. Listen, and you're right. It's all about the performances. And I'm going to say it again, Keenan, to Sophie. It's when they cross that white line. Stop trying to blame the manager for everything. And we've now seen when these players cross that white line and the youngsters are in, they have the energy. And they play better. And it's the youngsters making them better, not the other way round. So, listen, what a great point by Keenan.
Yeah, really good one. Okay, so did I do this one? I did that from Zod. I was looking for the one from Elaine. Elaine, if you can maybe retweet it, repost it for me. Keenan, we put on there, Martinelli reaction to Knox worries me from Prash here. Each time he goes down, we think he's out long term. I hope he doesn't become a Diaby type of player, always injured. So KC, with the hope that the ruthlessness of finding your players and making sure that they fit into your narrative that you want as a coach, there are a lot of Arsenal fans who are worried that Martinelli might be injury prone. But this is football.
He's back training. He's back training already. So, you know, what we thought is, listen, sometimes you do get a scare, and it was a scare. And it wasn't nice, considering he's had quite a long-term injury. But the great thing is, it's not as bad as first thought, his ankle, and he's already back in training, Sophie. So that's what we want to hear. Now, you know, but now here's probably the most important part. Do we wrap him in cotton wool a little bit, or do we give him more some minutes here and there, or what do we do with him? And that's the difficult thing.
All right, exactly. Okay, I'm going to go to our YouTube channel right now. This is from Fab, who sent this on our Pablo Mari show, which, by the way, thank you, everybody, has surpassed 7,000 views. Unbelievable. The reaction that we've gotten to that episode has been absolutely superb. So we're really grateful for that. So this one is relation to the ruthlessness and, the sentiment versus Pepe. Our most expensive signing, Casey. So you can imagine that comes with a lot of expectations for Arsenal fans. So Fab wants to ask you this. Here's what he says. Arsenal fans need to lay off Pepe. They always find a reason to obsess and be negative. Even if he costs 70 million, it isn't your money, it's Stan's money. We are winning, so just enjoy the positive vibes. A big up to Kevin for also ending the story about 2 left-footed centre-backs and the entire nonsense of that and them not being able to play together. So a couple of things first. In terms of ruthlessness, Holding just signed a new contract. Obviously, Arteta believes in him. He's got his maybe CB situation sorted. But the question of Pepe, how ruthless should Arteta be when it comes to the subject of Pepe? I think it's a really good question.
Yeah, it's a good question, and we've kind of covered it on other shows. And I love going over it again because it's such a relevant topic. I think Nicolas Pepe. I don't think anybody questions his talent, Sophie. I don't think anybody does. But the one thing we can question is his application. Because when he plays, sometimes he blows hot, sometimes he blows cold, and sometimes he's just not there. There were times where he was asking about, I don't get enough game time, I want game time. He was given the game time against Leeds, and then he goes and does something stupid and gets sent off. Whereas now, we've seen Bukayo Saka go from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and he's playing incredibly well. He's great in chances. He's got the work rate. He's got, he's being a difference maker. Now, that should be Pepe for us. So it's all very well saying lay off him, but a youngster's come in and he's doing better than an actual player we've paid 73 million quid for. So, you've got to, Arteta at some stage has to say, look, do I stick with him? Do I sell and recoup some money and invest it somewhere else? And the way these youngsters are playing, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if something happened that, a bid came in for Pepe and he done the business.
So there are a few people in chat who are talking about maybe trying to cash in on Pepe. I don't think we're going to fetch not even maybe a quarter of the money that we paid for him, Casey. You sell, and Arsenal Los Angeles here. Good evening to our friends at Arsenal Los Angeles. Pepe absolutely needs to take things with his left. If he can't get it off with his left, he fails. And he also seems to be a player, Casey, that needs to play to get into form. And sometimes you just need a player to have impact. And when you pay 72 million for a player, you expect him to not have to ramp up that way. You want him to have immediate impact. And I think that's the issue that a lot of fans have. And when you look at Saka and the impact he's having, and Martinelli, and Pepe's now 25 years old, a lot of fans are thinking maybe we should try and cash in on the summer. But would you cash in when his stock is so low? Does it make fiscal sense?
Remember, if we want our manager to be ruthless, it shouldn't matter. Because he doesn't want to go through what he went through at the start of this season again. That's for sure. Because then that would have the Arsenal fan base really in a spin of anger. So what he has to do now, remember I mentioned about that clock, that transfer clock that Arteta has in his head has been sped up because of the poor performances earlier on in the season. Now we're actually in the window. He's got to see what he can do, what trading he can do. And Knuckles, you think Pepe has been man managed? How has he been man managed? He asked for game time. He got game time and got himself sent off for doing something bloody stupid. So that's not bad man management. That's the player. Stop trying to pass it on to the manager. Stop it.
Well, what do you think about what Divian is saying here? And welcome to the show. Pepe needs to play in between the CB and the LB, but in our system, he's usually hugging the wing. KC suggested to try him at number 10 the other day. I'm all for it. So is he going to be ruthless like he is with... Hold on,
Sophie. Put that up again. Put that up again.
Sure.
Please.
I'll get back in. Okay, here. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'll find it. Here we go.
Again. He needs, but our system. So who is stopping him from playing between the CB and left back? Who's stopping him at the right times? You can't just stay there. You have to move as a footballer. But nobody was stopping his movement on where he goes to affect the game. And this is why it's important. This is why you're speaking to me, right? Because you keep talking about playing in between people. He just can't stay there. You have to move. And you have to, when you don't have the ball, what does he do? Does he just stay there, Divian?
Yeah, but his movement off the ball is just one of the worst ever. Javinho is better off the ball than him. I mean, and that's saying something. He's really poor off the ball, Casey.
Yeah, but Sophie, I'm not even talking about his movement off the ball. Divian's talking about when we have the ball, he wants him playing between the centre-back and left-back. But it's to get him the ball. That's the difference. It's to get him the ball there.
But you don't, some players don't trust him, Casey.
You're probably right. Some players don't trust him. But you know what? To play between the centre-back and the left-back, you're probably going to be playing with a lot of the game with your back to goal. And that is not how Nicolas Pepe plays, unfortunately.
Captain, are you a captain? Oh, our captain on deck. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Pepe clearly has talent, but it's not happened for him so far. He looked inhibited in his play since signing. The price tag weighed heavy, and he's gone downhill from there. Casey, you've been around players. You've gone for a fair few bucks in your life. Players, do they feel that price tag around their neck? I mean, I think we saw that with Andy Carroll at Liverpool. We saw it with Torres when he went to Chelsea from Liverpool. Shevchenko, who was a dynamite player and an absolute legend in Italian football, felt it when he went to Chelsea. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, the point of the matter is, Sophie, is it the transfer fee or is it that the dynamic in the team just doesn't work?
Or he doesn't work?
Yeah, because for me, Nicolas Pepe, when you look at him and you see him play and you could see he's silky, he's got great touch, etc., but we are not getting the best out of him.
Yeah, this is a good one, Casey. It's like buying a Ferrari and getting a Miata.
Although in the cup competition last season, he did show a lot better form, especially the FA Cup final. He showed himself. He was twisting people's blood. We're thinking, wow, look at Pepe. You know, this is how we want him to be all the time. But again, the Premier League is different. The Premier League, it's the grind, Sophie. It's that grind, week in, week out. Can you do it against all these different teams? Teams that are not just going to attack you like Chelsea because Chelsea want to beat you. You know, there's teams who are going to bank up against you. So I think he struggles in that.
All right, so I've got a question for you because there's tons of these on YouTube, right? And from good listeners like Hassan GB, like a ton, and also on some DMs, because this guy has come up. As soon as you mentioned Ruthless versus Sentimental, people wanted to know what you thought about this guy and what he did that day and what that moment and what he said and his actions and how he followed up with his behavior has affected the decision-making with the manager, Casey. Guendouzi.
It hasn't affected it.
Well, it affected him maybe potentially being a part of the team and helping the team, and because of his behavior, he was ostracized.
Oh, but he didn't want to be.
What do you mean? Of course he wanted. At least he's showing some balls, Casey.
No. Hold on a minute. Okay, he's showing balls, is he? So whatever job you do, if there's an altercation at work and your boss comes to you to sort it out, you do not throw your toys out of the pram. You take it on the chin and you move on.
I don't grab people by the throat, that's for sure.
No, but my point is, Sophie, I'm glad you don't, by the way. My point is this. It's a young player who isn't established. He's got a new manager, and his new manager is speaking to him to try and get the point across. The point, he hasn't agreed with the point, so he's left him out. which is fair enough. You do not step on the toes of the manager. No, nobody does. Come the end of the season, Arsenal win the FA Cup, fine. Mikel Arteta says there's a clean slate. Him, Mesut Ozil, everybody has a clean slate. Guendouzi refused. He didn't want to know. So how is that treating him badly? It's him. No, don't forget Ceballos. No, but we're not talking about Ceballos. We're talking about Guendouzi.
But it's about treatment of players in an equal measure, Super Kev. And there's been some examples.
They have been treated the same. Guendouzi did not want to know.
But also, I also think, and I've said this to you before, we have a younger manager, okay, who is still not even 40 years old, all right?
What difference does that make, though?
Well, actually, it makes a big difference because
you're young. Tell me what difference it makes.
All right, I'll tell you. The 20s are the decade of decadence, the 30s are the decade of discovery, and the 40s are the decade of, I feel like I've arrived and I know who I am. And Arteta isn't in his 40s yet. He's gone through his decadence. He still has an ego. He's still learning his craft, but he also has that young dude mentality. And I'm just reading it from experience, body language. There's part of him that is still immature in himself. Look, when I look at my career and when I was 38 compared to where I am now, I made some great strides, but I also made some mistakes, even though I was seasoned at the time, but I was learning, right? And Arteta has treated players differently. This is a fact.
Like who?
Guendouzi, Ozil, for a while.
He's treated them differently.
Yeah, he's... Well, why does Willian get to come right back into the team after defying laws
I've already explained.
You're asking me, so I'm telling you. I'm sorry, but he has.
But I've already explained. No, he's not treating them different, but there is a hierarchy in everything.
Xhaka did exactly the same thing. Here we go, right? Thank you very much for letting me know I'm spot on. Xhaka did exactly the same thing as Guendouzi.
No, we didn't.
And also, hold on one second, Casey. You know what? Let me just have this moment here to just answer some of the questions because they're coming in super thick and fast.
Bring them in. Come on in. Bring them in.
Okay. So Guendouzi was an arsehole and he should never have grabbed someone by the throat. Pepe made an arsehole move. Xhaka made an arsehole move. They all got sent off. They all did a disservice to their team. They let their team down. But the way he treated Xhaka over Guendouzi and Pepe was night and day. He threw the other two under the bus. He ostracized one to Germany, and Xhaka just gets to come back and be part of the team. Why? Because he's a senior player. Shouldn't he also be held by example? And you have said on this very show that the younger players are now showing the older players the way. So Arteta needs to learn some man management as well. And go on.
He is man managing them. There is always a hierarchy in whatever business you are in. Somebody who's been there, seen it and done it does have more cachet than a young player coming up learning his trade.
So
I've been through it. I know. You've been through it in your business. When you're just coming through and starting up, Sophie, the person who's doing whatever they're doing in the film industry, you do not have the same cachet and you are not treated the same. You could do the same things, but you will not be treated the same. This is normal. This is normal. And it's not Mikel Arteta. It's the way in football. If you have a manager, whether he's young or he's old, you get treated differently if you're an experienced guy.
Guendouzi never apologized. Xhaka never apologized. And Xhaka, who you know I've defended, and I'm saying this out loud once again for everyone to hear, did not apologize. Okay.
What are they apologizing for?
Their bad behavior.
What are they apologizing for?
Xhaka told Arsenal fans to fuck off, Casey.
No, I'm not talking about that. He apologized for that too late.
No, he don't. No, he never. He didn't.
No, he did. He apologized for that too late.
He did a fluffy PR piece where there was never an I'm sorry. It was more of a here's how I feel. I'm sorry I made you feel bad. Guendouzi
you could take it how you want then, Sophie, is my point. Whether you think that's not good enough, that's your thing. But what I'm saying is, as a manager, the manager has to manage the players.
Yeah, but wait.
And young players
Exactly like this.
Two players are not on the same level if you're young and you're older.
Does that make it right, Casey, that there's a younger player who's trying to find his way, okay, that has been sent away to Germany, and the ruthlessness of Arteta?
Sophie, Sophie, no. He wasn't sent away to Germany. He was handed the olive branch, and he didn't want to know.
But hold on one second. What olive branch did Xhaka accept, and what comment did he make?
Olive branch. He doesn't need an olive branch.
So now you're defending Xhaka after you and Amanda kind of pointed the finger at me for defending Xhaka this whole time. Because
defending Xhaka, how? How am I defending Xhaka? I'm saying they got treated exactly the same.
Okay. My point is, if you're going to be ruthless, be ruthlessly consistent. If you're going to punish Ozil and park him, if you're going to send Guendouzi to Germany, if you're going to do these things, bench Willian when he comes back. Don't play him. Bench Xhaka for doing the things that he did. Call Xhaka out publicly the same way you ripped Pepe's pants down when he got his sending off. That's the difference. You want to be ruthless, be consistent. That's the point.
Sophie, whatever you say, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. When you're in a football team and a squad, there is a hierarchy. And young players are not treated like the stars. I came through the ranks.
Doesn't make it right.
No, hold on a minute. But it is right. It is what is. It's the truth.
So you think it's okay? You think it's okay for the club to have handled Xhaka the way they did versus Guendouzi and Pepe?
Yes.
And you think that's okay? So you think it's okay for a player that you guys all ripped for throwing his shirt off when he was captain that night at the Emirates under Unai Emery, telling Arsenal fans to F off, and that's acceptable. But Guendouzi defends his team, grabs a player by the throat against Brighton, throws off a stupid young individual bullshit comment about earning money more than them, and that's okay. That's okay.
Sophie, let me just. I'm
going to make that goddamn T-shirt, by the way.
Let me just explain where I'm coming from, because what you're talking about has got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Nothing.
No, they're the same thing.
No, they're not. They're not. And this is why I need to explain what I'm saying to you. I said about Granit Xhaka, he should never play for Arsenal again. What part of that don't you understand? I said about Guendouzi, it's not about him grabbing the guy on the pitch and saying how much he earned. It's nothing to do with that. It's after the game when the manager gets him and sits him down and said, listen, you're wrong for doing whatever you done, and he's going to be reprimanded. And he doesn't want to know. That's why. Go on.
You want senior players to set good examples. We've talked about this on our show. Andrew Love brings up a great point. So it's okay. When did Xhaka apologize, Casey, for his actions? And I've been a huge defender. We've already spoke about this.
We've already spoke about this.
No, you can't pick and choose.
I said we've already spoke about this. I'm saying he's come out with his statement or whatever. That was his apology. You're not taking it as his apology, which is fine. But I don't whether you take it as apology or you don't. He has come out with a statement and said whatever he said. I said he should not play for Arsenal again. That's what I said. So I don't know what else you want me to say now.
Because you're saying that certain players were in ruthlessness. Right, so you're okay with Xhaka continuing to play for the club, but you're okay with Guendouzi and all these other players being ostracized.
Sophie, I will repeat what I just said. I said Granit Xhaka should never play for Arsenal again. The fact of the matter is, he is playing. I can't control that.
Hold on.
Let me finish. But what I do know in football and in dressing rooms is there is a hierarchy. There is. And in any business that you go into, everybody is not treated the same. If you're an experienced guy, you are treated different than the youngster. That is normal.
Okay, we've seen hierarchy destroy corporations because they think they're above the law. They think that they are it, and they are not. And younger people, okay, and trailblazing people who are fearless are calling them out. Casey,
they could say whatever they want. They could say whatever they want, Sophie. Let's have a look at this.
Answer this one. I love you, Casey, but you are chatting it. Surely an older player deserves a stronger reprimand than kids. You can't say non-negotiables when the rules don't apply equally to everyone. And that's the problem with today's world. You just can't feel like you're above the law. And what you're saying, it feels like they're above the law and the younger players aren't, because that's the way it is.
No, it's not. It is just the hierarchy of the dressing room. What part of that don't you get? A young player, a youngster in a new business, coming in, trying to be where these guys are, is not treated the same. They are not. You have to earn it. Everything must be earned. And Guendouzi hasn't earned it by throwing toys out of the
now
pram.
We're saying, as Arsenal fans who have absolutely ripped the guy to pieces, that Xhaka has earned it.
Sophie, I'm talking about hierarchy. He is one of the, as you quite rightly put it, he's one of the leaders of the dressing room. He's a respected Swiss international player, right? He is one of the leaders. He isn't treated like a Guendouzi. They are not the same.
No, I understand.
He is not a Pepe. They are not the same.
But I understand that senior players are treated differently. But senior players should not be treated differently, Casey, when they make the same mistakes. And that's the point of this and what everyone is asking right here. And there's loaded questions.
But how was he treated different?
He came back in. He wasn't ripped. He wasn't ripped into in the press conference. Pepe had his pants pulled down. Guendouzi was made to look like a total juvenile delinquent and shipped off to Germany.
He acted that way. He acted that way.
But, okay, so Arteta, Xhaka acted that way, but under Emery, right? And then Xhaka supposedly gets sent off and gets actually lauded, if you like, in a press conference by Arteta saying, I trust the player, I know the player, and blah, blah, blah. The point is that for the same actions, you can't rip the pants down of your younger players and then support.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Well, we see this very differently.
Yeah, we do see it differently. And you know what? All these people who are talking in the chat.
When did he rip Xhaka? When did he rip Xhaka, you guys? Come on.
Get into a dressing room and see the hierarchy.
Okay, so let me take you in there.
Hold on, because if you've ever been in any business, the people who experience are not treated like the kids. They are not. That's a fact.
Okay, I understand this. I've been in the room where I've done all the work and all the executives take the credit for it, but that's the role. That's what I do. That's my job.
So why are you complaining about Guendouzi then?
Let me finish. However, if we're on a retreat and that executive acts like a drunken fool and embarrasses the company, and so do I, okay? In this modern world, we should both be treated the same for our poor actions versus him getting a pass or her getting a pass just because they have seniority. It's the same bad behavior, Casey. That is where the world's changing. No, that is where the world is changing and evolving.
Sophie, you would be out and he would get his knuckles wrapped.
No, he'd get a promotion, or she would get a promotion.
No, what I'm saying is the same. They'll get the knuckles wrapped and you'd be out because you're the youngster.
Right, but that doesn't make it right. That's the point. That's what people aren't standing for anymore.
But it is. It is what is. Listen, you could say people ain't standing for it. It doesn't matter whether they stand for it or not. It is what happens. This is football.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that because someone wants his fatality double wants us to move on. That's fine. We will do. You know what? Listen, we're from the same generation. All right. I'm Generation X. I lived through, my first career job was in the early 90s, you guys. And it wasn't like a safe haven for women back then. It wasn't a place where women automatically got promoted. It's very different right now to the world that we live in. And so I'm coming from a place where you always were the fall guy, no matter what anyone above you did. And I think we're living in a world now where people are challenging that. And just because you have seniority, just because you have experience, it doesn't mean your bad behavior is acceptable. And a younger person doing it, okay, is going to be a little bit more forgiven because of their immaturity. And that's the world that we're living in now. Right. So I love how this organically moved into that conversation, Casey, because that's what happens on Kevin Says. Let's get some PC police. We're not the PC police. We're just the police here on. And we love you guys too. Thank you, Springer. It's always a great conversation with Super Kev. It is a passionate debate. Love this.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Because it's about Arsenal. It's got to be.
Look, Alex thinks we're husband and wife arguing over who's making the tea. Super Kev. Let's do this from Feng Sports. The experienced players are supposed to lead by. Oh, we did this. Yes. So basically, let's talk about repercussions.
Yeah, go on.
Go on, Casey. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say. I was just going to say about the experienced players leading by example, but that goes on to my second point about the experienced players played in the FA Cup on Saturday, and we were woeful until he brought on, obviously, the two youngsters. Lacazette, and let's be fair, Xhaka isn't everything, but he did make a difference when he came on. You know, I particularly, I don't think he's good enough, but he did make. But that still says how bad we are for me.
So let's get to this last half here. We've got 10 minutes more with Super Kevin Campbell right here on Kevin Says, the weekly segment on the Highbury squad. Venkatesh, thank you so much for your comment as well. Does he deserve as many chances? You know, when you have young players, this is kind of where I was coming from. But we're going to move on a little bit here and would like you guys to answer Casey's question about the FA Cup. In the end, what Casey's saying is, the Sakas of the world and the Emil Smith-Rowes of the world had to come on and save the FA Cup third round. So how do we feel about that? Isn't this what we've wanted, though? Isn't this what we've been talking about over the last few weeks, Super Kev? That somehow these youngsters are now transitioning as leaders and showing these enabled players who've been around for a long time how to do things, and the fact that they're willing to fight and claw their way into the first team and make it count.
That also, there's another side to it. That goes to show that the so-called experienced players, not good enough.
Okay, so let's go to 2025 because this is a good one. Kevin, I really want your opinion on this. The way Willian is getting backed by Arteta, although it's like an Ozil with the work rate on the pitch. I just don't get the position. Can you help? Because this is one area where a lot of Arsenal fans are a bit lost.
Well, look, no one could question Willian's resume. The fact of the matter is Willian has come into the football club and it hasn't worked for him. It hasn't worked for him right now. We all know Willian is a good player. We all know that. But he's playing awfully at the moment. That's 100%. Now, the manager is going to back the player that he brought in. It happens. Poor performances happen. We're seeing it with Aubameyang at the moment. But it's happened with Willian. The thing is, Aubameyang has some cachet built up because he's been carrying the club for a few seasons. So, yeah, we could go a little bit lenient on Aubameyang, but Willian's got no cachet here at the Emirates with Arsenal. So the fact he's been awful, yes, he has. But he is a damn good player. Now, whether we get to see it or not, I don't know. But that is why I believe Mikel Arteta is backing the player. Because when a player's going through a tough time, the worst thing that could ever happen is the manager chucks him under the bus.
Okay, so this is a good one from Andrew Love. KC, did you experience different treatment from the senior players when you were a younger player at Arsenal? And if yes, what examples can you give?
No, the treatment wasn't different from senior players. The treatment was different than senior players. I mean, George Graham listen, I told a story yesterday about when we were even making my debut on Merseyside. I couldn't even get a club tracksuit to wear with the team. or a club T-shirt.
Or a tie, like we discovered the other day.
A tie, or a club tie, or a blazer and flannels. You had to earn everything that you got. And when it comes to playing, the training, etc., George Graham, what Alan Smith could get away with, or what Charlie Nicholas, or what any of these guys could get away. You reckon I could get away with that? What, you reckon they could say something and I say the same thing, and then George Graham say, yeah, like he said yeah to them? You must be mad. It string me up. So It doesn't. I'm telling you, it don't happen.
But let's say George Graham. Let's say you're on the pitch, you get a red card. Let's say at the time, not Tony Adams, but let's say Kevin Richardson does the same thing, right? Is George Graham treating you and Kevin Richardson differently from getting a red card and screwing up the team?
100%. 100%. Yeah, listen, unfortunately, Sophie, you've got you know, but you've got to understand, when you're dealing with experienced players and you're dealing with youngsters need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Experienced players have been there, seen it, and done it. George Graham knows Kevin Richardson. If he'd done something stupid, he would say to him, hey, listen, you cost us there. That's bloody stupid. With me, I wouldn't see the first team training for about 3 months. But that's the way that's the way you learn. There's no messing around, and it's not being vindictive to me, but as a youngster, you have to learn and earn your position. And to get to a position of an experienced player at Arsenal, it takes some going. It does.
Well, all I know is that these youngsters who are playing for our club right now are playing for the badge, for the shirt, for the love, for everything.
Oh, they're incredible. They're incredible.
Yeah. And Jean wants to say, Kev is right. These young players have everything given to them and laid out for them nowadays. The least the club expects is total respect in return and some show of appreciation, not an ego display. I totally agree with that. There's no room for egos, and certain managers are really good at managing. Look what Jurgen Klopp has done with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. They've become world-class players. They could walk into any team in the world and start. Look what how Pep Guardiola has managed Phil Foden. Despite Phil Foden's off-the-field antics with England, that was with England. That wasn't under Pep Guardiola's watch. When he's with his club, managed by his club, he's been saved and he's been nurtured. And now we're seeing the best of Phil Foden. And I think we've seen it in the Brighton game today. I don't know if that ended up finishing 1-0, Casey.
Yeah, but would Balogun do what he's done? Look at the times. Phil Foden hardly came in. He played sparingly, didn't he?
But he didn't even go on loan, did he? Phil Foden?
No,
he didn't.
no, and that's
so
what I'm saying.
Why can't Balogun do it? Right?
No, but this is what I'm trying to say to you. But you have to commit. You have to commit.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Oh, I want to be on 100 grand a week." And I don't want to do this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right. He absolutely 100% committed. Yes.
Phil Foden committed to learning and being a part of that Pep Guardiola system.
He waited to inherit the mantle from David Silva, and it looks like he's going to do that. And to the point where Bernardo Silva's injured, isn't he? I don't know. He's not playing as much.
No, he has been injured. Yeah,
he's playing. Keith Saunders, one of the best Arsenal fan sites around. Super Kevin, one of the most passionate people out there. Love hearing his experiences. Of course, Sophie cracks me up. Thank you so much, Keith, and everyone who's listening. We appreciate you. Hey, listen, if you dig us, hit that like button for us. We would really appreciate it. And if you don't, that's cool. We will still be friends, as we always say right here, although I might send the boys round, but no, I won't. It's okay if you don't like us. Okay, let's get this. We got Kevin for 6 more minutes. I am determined to get this show under 1 hour today. All right, you guys have to help me.
Oh, no Sophie time. Let's see. Let's see.
No Sophie time. Super Kev, this is how I always like to end the Kevin Says, is with you answering your own questions. So what do you feel about Arteta being more ruthless than, because some people on replay and some people might just see it on Twitter and may have missed a few things. But ruthlessness versus sentimentality, I think I know where you stand. In a nutshell, 30 seconds, let everyone know what your thoughts are on your own question.
I think Mikel Arteta has been ruthless. He's been ruthless in dealing with the Guendouzis of this world, Sophie. He's been ruthless in dealing with Kolasinac. I think we need more. Obviously, the Balogun situation, that's going to take a ruthless look. I think he wants to keep him. But I think the player wants a pathway, and the pathway, as I've said at the start, you've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, Martinelli, Nketiah ahead of Balogun. So where would you put? There's only one space I think that you could say Balogun could go, and that's above Nketiah. I think Martinelli has bigger prospects and a bigger talent. Potentially, but we're going to find out. So it all boils down to if he wants to commit, and I don't think he does want to commit right now, unless it's on his terms, and I think that's a recipe for disaster.
It looks like he's going to RB Leipzig. I mean, it looks like this deal is pretty much set in stone. We're not going to say that yet, but it looks highly likely that's where he's going. Before you answer the FA Cup question, Casey, good one from the Highbury kid here. And sorry to anyone on YouTube whose questions I didn't get to. I promise, next week. Just a flurry of stuff going on here in chat. So I promise I'll get to a lot of your questions when this segment returns next week. Regarding sentiment, Casey, do you see a player in the squad who could be the true captain, as the captain's armband has been getting passed around like it means nothing? Another area where perhaps Mikel Arteta should be a little bit more ruthless.
No, I don't think it's an area where you need to be ruthless when you've already got a captain. I think the captain's armband. Obviously, Tierney's a great example, but he's still new. He's still new. I don't think you burden those young players with that captaincy right now. And many people would say, but Tony Adams was young when you can't put these players in the same building as Tony Adams. Not yet. Tony Adams was captain material from the moment he stepped foot in Arsenal. He was captain material. He led by example.
Well, John Terry and Steven Gerrard did it too at Liverpool and Chelsea, respectively, didn't they?
Yeah, but
they took on the captain armband very young. Why can't Tierney take it on? Why can't Tierney be captain?
I've just explained it. I've just said that. I've just said, Jesus, peace. What is up with you tonight? I said Tierney's coming. He's playing well, but he's not. Let him learn. Let him learn how to handle being Arsenal. No, we're not saying he can't handle it, but what we're saying is we're not going to burden him with the captaincy right now.
So do you think Fabregas was burdened with the captaincy from his young age and all the expectations that were put on him at Arsenal? Do you think?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah? Of
course I do.
You don't think Tierney's more prepared to be captain than when Fabregas was given the captaincy? You're going to make me go into overtime now deliberately because of what you're saying.
No, I'm not. You're asking the questions, not me. You're asking the questions.
I think Tierney's more mature than Fabregas was when he was given the captaincy of Arsenal. That's what I think.
It's not about who's more mature. It's about circumstances and timing. The timing is this. At the time, Cesc Fabregas was the player in that squad, in the team. They needed him to lead by example. That's why he got the captain's armband. Because if it's right, there is no way Cesc Fabregas should have been captain of Arsenal Football Club. There should have been a centre half or a strong central midfielder who was captain. But we didn't have it. So he was the top guy. Right now, Aubameyang was given it, and there is no reason to change it. And yet, what a player he was for Arsenal at the time as well, by the way. So Aubameyang's the captain now, and Tierney is a good player. Let him progress. Let him get some seasons under his belt, and then you might start to see Kieran Tierney start to take that mantle.
All right, that's that. I'm going to end it at that. I'm going to go over just by a few seconds, just because I've got to wrap.
How?
Well,
what about the FA Cup? You can't answer one question and then not answer the next.
Okay,
you see, you're just trying to not go into Sophie time.
I was trying to pull a dodgy transfer deal. I was trying to write my own check there. It didn't work.
Oh,
all right. So Super Kev, tell me about the FA Cup, because it did feel like we masked some pain playing. I think Arteta learned a lot in that game too. Once again, another reminder that these younger players are ready for the challenge. And I think your question was, did it just prove that we still have, inherent problems at the club? And I think the answer is yes. So what was your observation?
Well, my observation was the performance was poor, very poor, individually and collectively. We actually got saved by Leno in the end, didn't we? And not many people, it's funny, I don't see many people saying how Leno saved us. All I keep hearing was, we let Martinez go, Well, put it in the chat that Leno saved our bacon in the FA Cup. And then obviously brought the youngsters on, coupled with Lacazette and Xhaka, and all of a sudden we look a different team. But that goes to show, as a squad, we are not strong enough in my eyes, and we definitely need new blood, new energy, new faces.
I don't know why I'm being given a red card by Newman. Maybe we should give Newman a red card at this point, KC. He's getting a little bit too big for his boots. I mean, we're going to have to start doing timeouts, red cards, yellow cards. KC's had
Listen, for once, he's all right with me tonight. So
he is. KC, Leno was amazing, Elaine. You're absolutely right. Really was just, Casey says it right. If it wasn't for the triple save, we'd be out of the cup. And it took a moment, and everyone's been bitching about Leno and, over Emmy. And really, at the end of the day, he did a good job and he stepped up and he's done just fine this season. Mm-hmm. And, you're absolutely right, Casey. So I do agree with you. That fourth round.
Do you know something else, Sophie? Sorry to just cut across you.
No, I love it when you cut across me.
No, I just want to say this. Have you noticed Leno seems a lot more calm now Pablo Mari and Holding play?
100%.
He seems a lot calmer. He just gets the ball and he plays it nice. There's no flash, nothing crazy. He's just calm.
You know what? Super Kev, that's a really great point, because having played, having a goalkeeper that brings this element of calmness adds so much more calm to that back line. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, the impact. And I think Leno, he's still young as a goalkeeper. For a goalkeeper, he's still evolving. He's not,
not
he's
the finished article.
Absolutely not. He's not even reached his peak yet. So let's just calm our jets right there. And you're absolutely right. Someone like Pablo Mari, whose positioning is superb. Gabriel, who comes in with a quality and, the type of talent that most other teams in Europe were after. Someone like Rob Holding is only going to improve playing around them and with them. Mm-hmm. So for me, agree with you that midfield position is now the one that we really need to rectify. Maybe look into right back, in the summer.
I saw somebody put in there Basuma.
You've been talking about him forever. Let me tell you one thing. I will vouch for my brother here from another mother. He's been talking about Basuma for weeks. We did a show, I think maybe 2 months ago, where we talked about our top 5 transfer targets, and Super Kev was all over him. And now it seems everyone's all over him, Super Kev. Yeah. Ouch.
I mean, I had Ndidi. I mentioned Basuma, Ndidi as well. I think that's the type. But I think Basuma's younger. And do you know what? I think Basuma's a bit more aggressive. I like that. Could you remember, was it last season when back in when Guendouzi grabbed Molpe?
Yes.
Do you remember Basuma kicked lumps out of us that day?
Absolutely.
He absolutely kicked everything that moved. I want him in our side.
He had a bit of Vieira about him, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's a damn good player. And watching Arsenal, when Arsenal beat Brighton this season, I watched him. Hey, you know what? He's a damn good player. Real good player.
I agree.
Hey, by the way, that Buendia is a good player as well, by the way, Knuckles. He is.
He is, but they're asking too much money, Casey.
Hey, listen, if we can't do the job, then we have to move on. Simple as that.
I mean, we're getting into another conversation. Maybe we'll save that. We'll do a versus. We're going to do a versus on track. I haven't even told Casey about this, but I'm prepping a show.
Thanks.
It's for next week. You're gonna have time. You're gonna have time. But a versus show, like, is it better for us to go after an Usain Aouar versus a Buendia, a player who's played in the Premier League, who knows the pace, who understands it? There's a lot of juxtapositions when it comes to players that we're looking at in this transfer market, but mostly in the summer. And that's when our team, as you agree, Casey, is truly going to evolve, isn't it, in the summer versus right now in January. So listen, this has been another fantastic Super Kevin Campbell live Q&A. Remember, you guys can keep the questions coming on our YouTube channel. Throw them up. I'll always lob them to KC next week or during other shows, depending on what the subjects are. And we'll get your take on more of this stuff as the conversations ensue online as well. Thank you as well, Knuckles. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks to everybody who has joined in tonight. Always great for you guys to be able to get that one-on-one situation with a guy who wore the shirt and crossed those white lines. Super Kev, what's your closing piece?
Hey, the closing piece is we need a win tomorrow, don't we? Come on, you Gunners! Come on!
Wait, I got to scroll down and get to the trailer because I got so many.
No, but just take your time. Come on, Arsenal! We got to win tomorrow. We need 5 wins on the spin. Come on.
What's your prediction for tomorrow? Because we are going to be back tomorrow night with Jim Piddock on a post-game show, which is going to be a lot of fun. Jim is great. He's in all of those Christopher Guest impromptu
3-1. 3-1
movies, like For Your Consideration, Best in Show. He's an absolute legend. KC, what's your prediction?
3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 to the Arsenal. Okay. And just because I have to put these in for you, many thanks to legends Sophie and KC. Come on, you Gunners. I love KC. Who doesn't love KC? Cheers from Prash. We got some hearts right here. Thanks to everyone who's joined in from all corners of the earth. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Divyan. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. We'll be back tomorrow night. We appreciate that. Thank you, Keith. Thanks, Alex.
Mark,
KC,
everybody.
You got a lot of love. Wait, Mohammed, Sophie, you didn't put any of my questions to KC tonight. Oh my
Let's
gosh.
get one from Mohammed quick.
Okay, Mohammed. Put one in right now if you're still here, and I promise I'll put it up for KC. I missed it. There have been so many comments in chat.
We are on Sophie time.
We are officially on Sophie time. I was wanting to
Sophie time.
Taib, bye. Elaine, bye. But Mohammed, if you really are still in chat here, get us your question. Let's see. Favorite podcast from Andrew. I love that. Great show, full of arguing. It was pretty good tonight. Every now and again, me and KC will have our moment. All right, Mohammed, you're going to have to ask your question on the next show. Everyone loves it when you give me a bit of a hard time too. He sounds like an assassin. Fatality. PMB sounds like an assassin. Yeah. And Jean, thank you so much. And here it is, Mohammed. Okay, this makes us really happy. Here it is, Casey. How much time do we need before we start challenging for the title? Give us some hope. There's no better way to finish a show than with a little bit of hope.
For me, Nicolas Arteta needs this window. He needs the summer. And potentially, the following January window. And then we're going to start to see Arsenal take shape. But you know what? I could say that, and Arsenal could go on a run and be challenging in the top 4 this season. Top 4. But in order to challenge for that title, we need a squad that are committed. We need the culture to be the same. And we don't need youngsters throwing toys at the pram, Mohammed Memon. We need everyone together.
Those young players should not be treated the same. Let this be a lesson to everybody tonight. And there's always one cheeky little bastard in the room. Okay, and you know who it is. The question was, how much time do we need to start challenging for the title? And this little prick says this. Here we go. When Arteta's sacked. Always good to end on a little bit of a joke, but agree, it's going to take some time. And look, we've got, stay safe, everyone. All right, we're going now. 2 a.m. in India right now. Venkatesh, you are a legend. Thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone from all corners of the earth, thank you again. This really is the outro. I'm actually really going to end the show now. in case
Come
he's
on, Arsenal, we need to win. Come on.